What's up, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Scrubs podcast. I am not at my house.
Where are you at,
You'll
Oscar?
see, I am at your house, Colin, but in another room.
What? I didn't know
anybody's
this.
ever watched one of our Q&As, this is Melissa's background right here.
I'm rolling my eyes at yes.
That's the as people
By the way,
pointed
that's
out.
new. They used to be in the hallway, didn't it? Now it's in the room.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her about that. Maybe she's trying to make it look less like the casting couch.
There you go, guys. There's a casting couch.
That's where Oscar sleeps, for the record.
We didn't have to say it. Anyways, guys, welcome back to the podcast. And as always, special thanks to our patrons for giving us their support, making all the things that we do here possible, and being able to get this podcast on so many different platforms. I know the other day somebody was in the U.S. group on Facebook, and they were saying they're looking for podcasts, and everybody's recommending their YouTube channels. And I was like, hey, here's ours, but hey, you can find us on Google Play, iTunes. I wish you could find us on Spotify, but that's a difficult thing to get into. And and SoundCloud, which is where it's all kind of uploaded to and dispersed from there. But thanks to everybody on there. If you'd like to become a patron, patreon.com/TCG Scrubs, and there are some awesome tiers on there for gameplay and giveaways, and
we'll be and on that we'll be for the patron rewards. I believe it's the 20 and up tier. We'll be sending out our energized coins for last in this month, this week, just because sometimes we, especially with these spoilers going on, just a lot of our times have been filled up of rushing home and doing different things. But and if we're going to be about to finish cycling through the first 5 colors, and we're going to cycle through those colors one more time. So if you guys are interested in those energized coins or anything like that, or thought about it, we'll be cycling through those colors one more time, and then we're never going to get those specific energized coins again. We're going to look into other themes for energized coins or other avenues for that type of reward after that, to sort of keep that exclusivity, and it doesn't feel like you're just getting the same thing over and over again. But we figured cycling through it one more time is a good way, in case, because I lose stuff all the time, so you at least have 2 in there, and then that'll be it for those. So just as a side note. And also, thanks to our patrons, we just finished setting this up and we're getting ready to record. We got you see the camera up there with all the cords set up that they snake all the way around above my head back down to my computer, and you see the table there. It's all set up. Oscar and I are going to be recording a bunch of gameplay videos now for the Star Decks, and that whole entire setup, it's been slowly being built up over time because it's just more and more stuff that needs to be added on to make it work correctly. But now it's finally completely completed. The
first go around at it, you guys can look at it on I think our last uploaded Epic Stories game, and what makes it better now that wasn't better last time was that we had to use and keep charging up his battery because we didn't have that power source to keep it going. So
and the camera itself can only record 20 minutes at a time. But now it's streaming directly to the computer, which not only means we can record as long and as much as we want, but it also means that if we want to, we are now able to stream live gameplay onto Twitch and YouTube if we wanted to. We just need to turn it on, and then we can start streaming immediately. We won't be able to really see people's comments, but I mean, I guess you could on my phone, but that'd be buzzing a lot.
Yeah,
but
you have like a little thing on the side.
You also have 2 screens. You can dedicate one screen to just a giant chat window.
Well, no, we'll be over here. It'll be hard to read that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean,
outside this,
don't worry, guys.
But we'll be able to stream and stuff like that, and we have the whole setup. If we ever got enough people at our locals or at an ARG, we could take this whole setup, and all we need is a laptop to make this complete streaming equipment. We're using a DSLR for our super high output HD stream and stuff. So really excited about that, and that's thanks to you guys.
Yeah. And as if you guys can't make it to like Patreon and help support that way, you can always leave reviews on all the various platforms you listen to our podcast on, iTunes and whatnot, and let people know how great this podcast is. If it is great, I'm hoping it is.
Another way to support is just to click the link in the description below to shop at Happy Little Hug Factory. If you click that link, it helps support us. Both they'll keep sponsoring us. It brings us cool videos when it comes to box openings and stuff like that. We're able to do a lot more, and also just helps with the channel in general. So be sure you can do that way as well. Also, as a side note, since Oscar didn't introduce me correctly, if you guys are interested...
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Okay. No, well, I'll just say this before I forget. If you guys want to see some cool discussions, we'll have some more hopefully coming out this week as well. But be sure to visit the ARG YouTube page for Force of Will. You can find it. We usually share it in the US group and stuff. I'll try to remember to leave a link in the description below. But we came out with a video last week that had almost like a lot of the team on there. It was 6 people talking, which we won't ever do again, but it was still interesting. We had Alex Blandon, Ryan Miles, Brandon Bremont, Dylan Hunt, Mike Rance, and myself all on there, and it was really interesting discussions about runes, power levels, balance, Sherry, which surprisingly Ryan had some pretty cool opinions about some of that stuff too. So be sure to check that out and subscribe for more of that as well for ARG.
And the last plug I'll give us before getting into the meat of the podcast is you can give us a call and leave us a phone number at 512-522-4188. I haven't pitched this in a while. It's only because last time we pitched it hardcore, we fell back behind on them. But give us a call, and you can roast Colin, because I know that Jeff left us a comment recently saying when the CR comes out to make sure to have an episode where we roast Colin. So if you'd like to, leave us a voicemail. You have 3 minutes to leave a voicemail, but you can leave several in consecutive order, and I'll piece them together. But just letting y'all know, so y'all can
I'm super curious.
Call and give him a hard time.
What this is that because if it turns out to be trivial, like Colin said that blue's super cool, but it's actually the CR says it's not super cool. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, whatever.
Here. We'll have this be the first little bit of discussion because I want to mention something on it. But that was the intro.
Well,
how many minutes in? Are we like 9 minutes? I can't see it. Come on.
We had Joey's problems, so like close to 7.
I am joined today by our usual special guest, Colin from Team ARG. How's it going, Colin?
Hi, I'm still trying to use Twitter.
And Joe from Joe's Corner. How's it going?
We really...
Hey, guys.
We really should...
I shut my windows, so... No more.
I don't know why they weren't shut to begin with, but...
I didn't think there'd be sound.
We really need to... what we should probably do is spread it out like the Rooster Teeth podcast, where we get an intro with the... We're like... it's brought to you by our patrons, Hub of the Hug Factory, and this. And we'll talk about them more later, so that we don't have this chunk at the beginning.
What we should do is... It should just be like, hey guys, welcome to the podcast with Joe and Colin and Oscar. And then we do our shill.
Well, see, I feel like we're pretty good at the intros. I'm just in a new environment. I'm not used to this. I'm used to a whole other monitor. It's not even here.
That's true. You're only working off of one computer screen.
Yeah. I usually have stuff open that helps us with the podcast. Me with the podcast. But I agree. Like, let's shorten that intro. Because I hate when I listen to podcasts when I'm like, oh my god, get to the point.
Yeah.
I hear one thing.
So
to the point.
Real quick, before you get sidetracked, on the subject of the roast, if it is something legitimate, not only we should make a whole thing about it. We'll do a whole podcast and we'll call it the Roast of Colin. And just remember, in the per Comedy Central rules, I get an opportunity to roast everyone else before I get roasted. I'm just throwing that out there. And we should play all the calls as well. I have a chance to roast people who call in as well.
You do it before you get roasted? I thought you do it after you've been roasted.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I should have a chance to roast you guys back. That's why I'm saying you would play all the calls. And then
I think this needs to not be a roast. It needs to be a public execution.
But... If that's the case, either Jeff needs to come on to join the roast, or Jeff, you need to call in and leave.
I really do. I know he said during his Q&A, because he gets PMs all the time, to slow down on him because his semester just started, so he's really busy. But Jeff, I know you've mentioned you listen to this podcast while on the train and whatnot. Jeff, please call into that number. Please, it would be amazing to roast him. And I lost the and, but anyway.
That'd be so amazing.
But speaking of,
I remember it now, guys. If for those of you who are listening who can't call in, if y'all want to leave a detailed comment below, I'll read those comments off on y'all's behalf.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
And you can roast Colin that way.
Yeah.
But it's based on when the CR comes out, so I mean, you kind of...
Yeah. Wait on the... You're not just roasting me just because as confirmed by Jeff...
You can totally roast him just because, guys. It's like, Colin, your hate for green is wrong, and...
I mean, it's 100% correct. All my predictions turned out to be correct, for the record. And so, and even down to... Jeff agrees with me that pandas are super strong post-rotation. So everyone, everywhere, can suck my dick.
So I was listening to that video again that we did, which the video in question is when we kind of went over the rest of the spoilers after they had kind of just been released by the company. Mm-hmm. And in it, I wanted to go back and listen to it and see what was Jeff referring to, because Joey automatically thought, hey, it's referring to what that master rune can cancel. And then... and people were like, no, it still can't cancel it. But there's other things that were mentioned. And I know one of them off the top of my head was how Divinity worked, whether it was counters, costs, if you got costs back. And there's another one. I forgot what the other one was, Colin. But
I don't know.
Well,
I feel like it has to be the Master Rune because that was such a big part of the podcast. It's like, if he was going to mention something, like, that's immediately what my mind goes to.
I have an idea of what I think it was, but... We probably shouldn't get too deep into that because by the time this podcast comes out, the CR is probably going to be out. So I don't want to get too deep into that conversation of like, what do you think it is? And everyone's like, we already know what it is. But I have an idea of what I think it is. But so instead of going into that, why don't we talk about a very pressing matter? Speaking of roasting people. I mentioned this to Joey before we started, that apparently Jeff doesn't like Ruby. And I already did a call to action at the beginning of my spoiler video, or my summary of Jeff's Q&A, letting him know that he needs to watch it. Did you have any quick thoughts on that, Joey, before we move into the meat and potatoes of the podcast?
I mean, yeah, I think Ruby's pretty cool. I definitely think he should watch it. If he doesn't like it, that's perfectly fine. I know, like, I can see why you wouldn't like it.
I could see why you would have not, Volume 1 was absolutely terrible. Volume 2 was alright. It wasn't until...
Even if he watches, like, Volume 3, 4, and 5 and he doesn't like them, like, it's just might not be his cup of tea. Like,
Yes.
But... I mean, I like it, so I've got a poster hanging up right next to me.
Yeah. I think the best route to go about it is the way that Oscar went about it, which was watching the volume trailer for I think it was Volume 5. He watched the volume trailer for that, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, this is what the show's end game is," and then you go from there.
I mean, my thing is it's 2 hours worth of like Volume 1 and 2 is 2 hours, and then once you get to Volume 3, if you're once you finish Volume 3, if you're still not into it, you've only wasted 3 hours of your day because they're so the episodes are so short. What I would do is I would definitely find because I remember I watched Volume 1 and 2 again, I think, and maybe Volume 3 on Netflix. And they had it all it was just one big 1 hour chunk.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was really nice.
Well, they have that on the Blu-rays as well, of pick an episode or watch the whole thing like a movie, which I think is
that's
cool.
the way to do it in my opinion.
It
just
takes
watching the whole volume through. It's
Volume 1 and 2 is 2.5 hours. Volume 3 is hour 30, hour 45, and then Volume 4 is when I think it's a legit.
Think of it like we're recommending you a movie, Jeff. I really like Lord of the Rings. You should watch Lord of the Rings, and then you can watch it and be like, "Man, that movie sucked." But at least it's not an entire
better
season.
comparison is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you go and say, "Go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.," you preface with, "Season 1 was okay." The second half is pretty good, but Season 1's okay. 2 is really good. Season 3 is amazing. Season 4 is perfection, and Season 5 is just a continuation of that. And it's
but the time commitment
but you gotta
is completely different.
Yeah, but my point is you have to trudge through some stuff, but the payoff is extremely worth it, no matter how. Yeah.
But like, if you have to trudge through, if you're trudging through stuff, I'm doing quotes right here. Like, if you're trudging through an hour's, like, if your trudge through is 3 weeks of trudging through stuff, I'm not gonna trudge through that because I'm not interested. I'm not invested in that. I don't have I don't have a month to watch something until it gets good. But this
totally
is like
does.
2 hours.
Joey's lying.
You told me.
Yeah,
he said that he has a tight schedule.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why I say Ruby's easy to do. All right, moving on. Oscar
was like, "Not."
I love anime talk. By the way, one of the Con's dogs chewed y'all's controller, and I like how I'm in different rooms finding other pieces of this controller laying around. Like I found one in your room earlier when we were setting up the camera, and now I'm like, you're like, wow, look at that.
We literally bought a brand new PlayStation 4 with its controller, and bought one of the like gray controllers, gunmetal grays that I think they were either brand new or exclusive somewhere, I forget. And our dog got to both of the controllers, and so they're both dead.
This is probably the worst
sad.
podcast we've ever done as far as like
content. No,
I'm not even into
so much content.
I'm just so thrown off on where I'm at right now.
Oscar's like sweaty, like
where am I?
I don't want to be back at the casting couch.
It's just when it's not your desk and everything's different. It's really weird.
It took me a while to get used to this desk.
So let's get into the final meat and potatoes of this.
All right. So go ahead, Oscar.
I was gonna say the cool little takeaways from that's what we're doing, right? The Q&A is apparently pandas are good.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, I already said that. You can't get me. I already said that Jeff confirmed pandas are good, especially post rotation, because, especially with Sherry gone, Panda OTK via the ruler, you can literally obviously this is a perfect world, perfect scenario, but a perfect world, perfect scenario, you can do a turn 2, a judgment, turn 3 swing for a game. Assuming your J ruler doesn't die in between turn 2 and 3, but in a perfect world, you'd have enough will by spending your gem out panda stuff to play magic, or I guess not magic suites, but winds of gold to protect it and different things like that. But I mean that's not necessary to the deck. The deck's able to survive it. As far as my Panda OTK deck, usually there's a lot of I have to go look at it again, especially with the absence of dual stones. Not that it was reliant on dual stones. It's basically monocolor at the end of the day. It just ran red. But I'd be curious to see how well that OTK still works, or if it's just more control-y with it J activated and eventually just swings for game. But also the flooding of the field, still, you can have turn 2 giant bodies and rose quartz and the other one and gem mallets that produce will and also give you a crap ton of gems. And you're just populating your field, and now you can keep playing a bunch of these pandas and then play Gemblade Emerald to recover your stones and keep playing more stuff, and you don't have to worry about Severing Winds anymore. You only have to worry about Fair Spell and all this different stuff. I think pandas, even though they don't have the runes, are still going to work. I think they'll be more prevalent in the next cluster than they were this cluster because of certain things that are rotating, and then the Sherry ban, you don't have a passive counters to pandas just floating around.
If pandas all of a sudden became like a tier 1 deck, Colin would stop playing pandas.
Yeah.
No, because I'm the one who brought him to tier 1. I carried them.
No, Colin would like 100% be like, I don't want to play pandas anymore. Like, I don't like pandas.
Which, by the way, okay, 2 things. One, I don't know if you guys listen to the podcast can hear the background TV, because I know it's pretty loud. I can hear it right now. Sorry if you can. But back to it. I don't know if you saw the results of the final GP of the season. There was 2 panda decks that made it top 8.
And yeah, but that was in Japan, wasn't it?
And Sherry was still legal.
Was that in Japan?
No, it was in Italy.
Oh, was it Italy?
Yeah, that was...
Yeah.
That was like the most diverse top 8 we've ever had, right?
It was. I had posted and shared it with you guys in our chat. It was like, it was truly like 2 across the board of different rulers. 2 Gills, 2 Tigress, 2 Sherry, and I think 2 Carrick. Or the Time Spinning Witch.
I think so.
Something like that.
I definitely remember seeing the 2 Tigress.
I think it was Time Spinning Witch. Yeah, no, like I had it up on the website. I had to piece it together. We usually were going over some of the GPs as they happened, but lately we hadn't, just because it was just so much sharing. It was kind of pointless at this point. But yeah, no, that one was really interesting. And looking at the builds of it, it wasn't like some like OTK build or anything like that, but it did run those guys that Colin had. So me and Colin recently did a game. It's been released already, and he had pandas. And what's the name of that panda? Is it Zheng's guards or whatever?
Oh, Zinzane's guard, yeah.
Is it Zing Zang?
Yeah, he's like the 3-cost panda, right?
Well, because both names are spelled exactly the same, which is weird. They make two different sounds when you pronounce them back to back.
Oh, it makes sense.
Anyways, those are really good when we played, because I was like, wow, I can't target them when I was running a burn deck when I was playing against it. And I can't target them because they have barrier, and I just keep gaining him counters like crazy. And he's just board wiping once he flips.
Was that the 1-cost?
I think so, because he had like
Barrier
100 or 200 attack. I think it's 100 attack and like 600 defense. Because I had Alice's Mad World, and I think it's 700 defense.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had 3 Alice's Worlds, and they're still alive. They're just chilling. And I couldn't target and burn them.
Yeah, I think those 1-cost pandas with barrier were definitely helped out the deck. I'd be interested to see like how the mid-range for the deck works out, because I always kind of low key I was like, wow, like Rose Quartz is legitimately like a super fucking good mid-range panda threat. Like she's kind of insane, and like their mid-range options are like actually really really good, and like especially with like the they had that like 1-cost, like look at the top X cards of your deck where X are like the gems or something. I don't remember. But like that's a super like they just had started to get solid support, and so I definitely could see how that works out to them being.
And I believe one of the pandas got second place. It only lost to Gil in the end.
Gil is
interesting.
Yeah. No, that I'd be curious to see the specifics of the event as well, to see what all led to that. But yeah, no, it's Pet Panda's good.
Unfortunately, half of the people would be like, "Oh, the foreign stuff doesn't matter. USA is the only."
So they say that,
to an
but I
extent.
think of all the other foreign countries, like Italy's probably the one that is looked at the most, because I mean they do have the most, like they had the most top players in the world last year, and their guy Federico, he's the one who won Worlds last year, so I think they have more attention on that end, so they have the credibility.
Yeah, but people wouldn't say that.
Yeah, I know. They're already arguing. They're angry commenting right now to my statement of that.
Yeah, I think it's case by case basis, but yeah. Hopefully we'll. I'm super excited to see what the meta is going to turn. Especially if we're not having any downtime, we're going to be able to see what exactly this meta is going to look like pretty quickly, hopefully. And so I'm curious how much of the new rulers we'll see, if we'll still see old rulers, and if we're seeing old rulers, is it going to be the same ones we've been seeing, sans Sherry, or is it going to be like, are we going to see things like Panda emerge more consistently? Are we going to see ones that we haven't seen before really much, like Freyla all of a sudden and stuff like that?
So which of all those possible scenarios would disappoint you the most?
Disappoint me? If it was just like stayed as a Kirt Gil Time Spain Witch meta and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what if, like, would you rather that, or would you rather have like all the starter rulers just are like super dominant and none of the old rulers are like even coming close to all the new decks?
I'd be fine with the new ones being dominant, because they're not dominant because they're overpowered. For the most part right now, they'd be dominant because of where did I talk? Oh, I guess I talked about this on the survey I sent to Jeff. But they'd be dominant mainly because of their synergy within themselves. They're not strong because they're playing a card that deals 1,000 damage to your face. They're strong because they're playing a card and this other card that says if you played this other card, then you deal 1,000 damage to your opponent's face. And so it's that type of like combos and synergy that is the reason that they would be better than them. And so they can still be outplayed, but by other things that run similar level. But does that make sense? Like they wouldn't be winning because they're overpowered over current rulers. They'd be winning because they're more synergetic over other rulers, possibly. I don't know if that fully makes sense. What's in my head.
I see what you're saying. I don't really agree, but I see what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
So I know I wanted to. I know like this is sidetracking slightly from that conversation, but in the kind of how we used to go over GPs, I know some people didn't like it as much when it was the same decks over and over again. And one of the comments we usually get is like, "Hey, go over like what didn't make top 8 that I was trying." I remember telling Colin the other day, I was like, I don't think they want that either, Colin, because when I'd get top 16 lists, it's like all top 16 was the same deck, but just they didn't play it as well as somebody who made top 8.
Yeah.
So I was like, I just wanted to mention that because I thought that was hilarious.
I think they would have to get something that would be worth talking about. Like I remember when we brought up the White Fox that came up and didn't make top 8 but was really making waves. Like if something like that comes up,
from Colorado,
we'll definitely
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We definitely talk about that, I think.
No. Yeah.
But I would like to see decks that I would like to see decks that are innovative and people are playing, but maybe didn't do anything.
I feel like Colin just said IMO with slight disappointment because there's no inverse cards being printed in any of Valhalla that we know of so far.
No,
that was another thing mentioned in the Q&A.
Yeah. I doubt we'll get any direct support for anything like that. I'm really sad because I really like inverse cards and I liked how all that worked. I thought it was super cool. But yeah, hopefully we get a Vingolf 4 and it just has a crap ton of support for all of this type of stuff. That's all I want.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Which Jeff did say he's still pushing for a Vingolf 4, and that's indirectly where the subject of Ruby came up, I think, and stuff. So
he said he didn't care. I think he said this. I don't even want to say it anymore. But somebody he's like, I don't care what I have to do to get Vingo 4, but it has to have a shit enemy like Ruby or something on it. They're not trying to get it done. Something to that effect is kind of what he had. So I have to go rewatch it. But
oh, that's funny.
I remember seeing that and laughing because I was keeping the notes for Colin. I was like, I'm gonna make this super clear for Colin.
It's interesting though. I'm really happy that he's trying to push Vingo 4 because I think that's it was such a big success for Vingo 3 and it'd be nice to have something that nice to have that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's a great thing to have, product to have not sold out, so that you can be like, hey, new player, buy this box, $40, whatever, $45, gives you 5 super average decks, but it's a lot of the mechanics that you will need to know, as well as it's a lot of staples that will be used later on. It comes with stones, it comes with rulers, everything. It's nice just if you don't want to buy a star deck, or if you already bought the star decks but you're not really getting the hang of deck building and stuff like that yet. Vingolf is another great just avenue. It's just another product. It's something that I loved, that I really miss about Pokemon. It's just different types of product to buy with different cards or different ways to get cards. Just take it. Essentially, Pokemon really is just taking booster packs and putting them in different packages. But it was still really cool to get it in the different.
I don't really know
like
if
that.
Pokemon is the right thing to reference.
It is,
and
100%.
I like that it's such a good way to ship the product too, because it's hey, pay $40 and get play sets of all these good cards. It's that's what I would love booster boxes to be also, but it's I love the way they do it too, because you only need to buy 2 boxes and you've got every card you need from that. It's it's great. No. I really like Vingolf.
It's better than what Magic's doing. Oscar.
So Joe, you gonna begin starter decks?
Maybe.
Just want to come back to it. I mean, happy little hug for Hector. He has a really good deal. I think they still have him in stock.
Yeah, it's yeah. I think I want to. I really want to. I also want to get a box.
Hey,
and that's when I would have said, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna read something real quick," and then bloop, ad. But anyways, keep going.
Joey, you could get a star deck and you could teach a friend to play it, because you could split it into 2 decks. It's pretty cool. We'll have some videos about that. It's gonna be pretty cool.
I'm really excited to record this, especially with the setup.
I think this is pseudo relevant. I just want to bring it up because I just still think it's so crazy, even though it's not forcible. It's still TCG. But did you see what Magic did, Joey?
No, I didn't.
It's so weird.
It just came out Oscar sent me like a video of it, and I didn't end up watching it because
Man,
we
sounds like I
went
sent
to
it
like Raging Waters
exclusively to you.
yesterday, so. Huh?
It's
You made it sound like I sent it exclusively to you.
Oh, no.
It was just a chat.
So
as a
what have Magic been
preface,
doing?
as a preface, we're trying to, or at least I'm trying to get into the Transformers card game just because I really like the look of it. Even if it doesn't make it, I just really like the cards and stuff. But one thing Transformers did is they had Gen Con exclusive booster pack, and it had cards that in that booster pack was 5 cards that they weren't in the booster box. That's the only way you could get them was that Gen Con exclusive pack. And then they had it for sale on the Hasbro website, and it sold out, I think, in about 4 or 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, like $20 plus shipping or something like that. $14 plus shipping on the website or something. No,
15
it was
plus shipping.
15 plus shipping. It came out to like $20 total for one booster pack that had 5 total cards in it. And one of those cards literally requires you have a full play set of 3 of it in order for that card to function. So that it happened, and I was like, oh, that was weird. I hope they don't do that again for Transformers. And so this thing came out that Magic is doing. Again, this made me just really appreciate Force of Will. And this can also be, if you guys have friends that play Magic the Gathering, just mention this, whatever the name of this thing I'm about to mention is, and you'll see them get angry. And that's when you're like, you know who doesn't do that? Force of Will. Also, there's no being mana starved or anything like that. And they'll be like, oh yeah, take my body and stuff. And then you'll be like, look at these starter decks. We can get one and we can split it and we'll play a game and it'll be great.
And then you're like, oh, I have this great YouTube channel I need to introduce you to, right, guys?
Yeah. But you use this as an avenue. Because no matter what, even with Sherry and stuff, I still don't think Force of Will is as bad as it feels like Magic has been.
Wait, what did they do? I need to know now.
All right. Oscar, you want to go for the okay, go ahead.
Huh? Well, no, I was saying, and it was according to the video, and everybody's familiar with Alpha Investments, and he even in the video like who knows if it's 100% true. It's just what he was passing along.
No. He ended the video by saying he hopes it's not true and that it's a joke.
Okay.
But no, it's 100% true. Because it feels almost like that Transformer Starter Pack was a beta for this big thing they're doing, where they're going to be having this limited edition thing. From what I understand, the amount of stuff and things that it comes with does not warrant the price tag, which is MSRP $250 for the thing that comes with. He said cards that already exist, but they slightly like change the borders or something like that, and some booster packs, I assume, different things like that.
Well, it's not like a booster box, but
yeah,
some of the packs are older, or an older set or something like that.
Like reprints or something like that, but it's reprints of something they just did. I think it has to do with Masters 25 or something like that. I don't know the specifics. That's not the point. The specifics aren't the point. All you need to know is the $250 price tag, as far as we know, is too high. But even if that, you could set that aside and be like, all right, they're just overpricing. But they're making it. Distributors and local game stores cannot buy this product. It will only be available through the Hasbro website, and that's the only physical place you will ever be able to buy it, and then it'll probably be out of stock. And it sounds like it has cards that are in it that you can only get inside of that set, that you aren't like something you can get inside of a booster box that down the road or something. Like it's like similar to the Transformers thing I mentioned. Like it sounds like the Transformers thing was a test for this bigger thing for Magic of like cards you can only get through here, and it's only sold through the Hasbro site, nowhere else. You'll never see it again. And it sounds like that's what this is doing, which is absolutely terrible. It sounds like.
Wow.
What are your thoughts, Joey?
So okay.
Joey was pretty big into Magic.
I kind of still follow it, but I'll preface it with like the price point. Like I know Masters product had a pretty big like MSRP anyways. I really wanted to check it.
It did.
Something he mentioned in the video himself said that people complain that Masters packs were $10 a piece, but this price point says that more than $10 a piece.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't. I wish I could bring up previous Masters, because I know like one of them literally has like a $400 card or something. Like like they had Tarmogoyf and stuff. I wish I could find that stupid.
Yeah.
I wish I could find an actual price point. Okay, hold on. Okay, so like the price point, if it's worth it, sounds like it's not worth it, but at the same time, like, pretty sure Masters people didn't think it was worth it either.
Yeah. No, it sounds like 25 didn't do super well. But
yeah, I think they messed up for 25 is what I've heard.
we can be thankful. A takeaway from this is
like,
that. Go ahead.
So it looked like the MSRP was like $10 pack, and there were 24 packs. So I think it was like $240 for Modern Masters 2017. Is what it looks like.
Well, that's not how math
like,
usually works for booster boxes.
Right, but it's like around $200. So like the price point.
I think it was 180.
Isn't like, huh?
I think it was 180. Was the MSRP?
Like the price point is surprising, like, and I don't know what kind of like what they're doing with the like reprints. If it's like, because it's not a modern Masters box, which is like the whole idea of that is that you can buy these cards and play them in modern and stuff, and they reduce the cost and stuff. Like if this like has cards that you can play in standard, it's just really weird. Mm-hmm. Like I obviously don't like it. Like it sounds
and that's another thing.
Like
I guess we don't know because
like,
we're not familiar with Magic 100%. It's like, what if it's just a special case, or what if you don't play it in normal formats, or it's for a certain format? Well, I don't know. I mean, it was
the takeaway.
To call, or you guys earlier.
Yeah,
the takeaway isn't the set.
If I knew we were going to be talking about this, I don't.
Well, the takeaway isn't the set itself.
I didn't know we were going to talk about it either, to be honest.
Well, no, I want to bring it up because it was relevant news. I forget what sparked it for me in my head, but. The takeaway wasn't that. It was the selling on the website and not going to local distributors, which is going to hurt local game stores regardless of what their main product is. And so that's what I want to... And so that was sort of leading from me, or that was leading to, like, being able to use that, like I said, as a jumping point to bring people in and stuff like that. And, like... and I was using that as a point of... like I mentioned previously, people complain... myself, especially about things like sharing and stuff like that. But, it's valid stuff to complain about. But at least at the end of the day, I don't think Force will... we don't have to deal with stuff like that. And we won't ever have to deal with it because, honestly, they don't know how to make a proper website that could host something like that to sell it. But that's a separate issue.
See, that would have been like, who won't do that to you, right, guys? Happy Little Hug Factory, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it would have been a great ad read again.
I don't really... agree 100% with that, Colin, because I know that recently in like the past month or two, people have been upset with the buy a box promos for the booster boxes. That like one of them is like I think it's like Nexus of Fate is actually like a pretty good card and like saw play and like a good deck. And like compare that to like Force of Will, which has basically done the same thing with Time Spinning Witch, where it's like it's a buy a box promo, except it's a buy a 3-box promo. And sure, you only need one, but it's
yeah.
So I wouldn't say that they're not.
To be fair,
they are doing that.
But the difference is Force Will listens to the base, and so people said that was literally the stupidest thing ever, and so they said that they aren't going to do that again. It sounds like and. To be fair, we haven't seen what's going on with this, but we do know that at some point we're supposed to get Time Spinning Witches distributed to locals. Don't know what happened to that.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'm going to jump in real quick. So I watched Colin's video doing a Q&A recap because I'm the one who wrote his notes for him. After watching it, I went to go see him when he was at work, and I was like, hey, I feel like you missed something. And I remember writing these things down. And I remember writing this down, actually. On Q&A stream, Jeff was asked, hey, what's up with the Time Spinning Witch ruler? And because we had seen so many that Rob had, he goes, I'm still talking to Rob right now. I'm going to get you information on that soon. Just, kind of stay tuned. So something's going to still happen with it, but we don't know what yet.
I will say that I really am a fan of the way Force of Will, like, they have been slow in the past, but, like, they are trying to fix stuff and, like, just literally it's these starter decks with all the rulers is such a great I just am such a huge fan of that, doing it that way, and like it's so awesome that they're like that's why they're doing it. I just like it. It erases like the chase cards and sets and stuff, but I don't know. I think it's just a great way to like distribute rulers and stuff.
Speaking of awesome stuff, the willpower rewards were kind of like teased a bit. And I think that's awesome, the approach you're taking on it. Because I was actually just telling Con the other day, like, it'd be great if there's alt-arts rather than just getting Ubers all the time. And then that's actually what they're doing from the looks of it.
I think it was either you or me had mentioned that it would be super cool if the willpower rewards were of the new starter deck rulers rather than the old ones, or because there's having more of the old starter deck rulers, I would have literally like killed myself of scanning all those codes for that. But and I was like, that'd be cool if they did that, especially considering that they can do that because these are the only rulers for the whole set, so they could just release those and it'd be these cool alt versions you have. I don't know if there'll be Uber versions we can pull inside of the boxes still. I assume there will be because it'd be weird if there wasn't. But so these are sort of an extra thing. So it's cool that they actually ended up going through with that, and it's going to be alt arts that I assume will be full art and textured, and possibly maybe it'd be cool if there was like some sort of little gold stamp on it too. But I guess the alt art is enough. But
and that's, like people have talked about, we know 10 of the cards then, if that's the starter deck rulers, leaves the last 2 to be mysteries because we get 12 usually every year. If it follows what has happened in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, and not including the top 500 card, which we assume is Time Spinning Witch really at this point, an Uber Time Spinning Witch. But there's those 2 remaining arts.
Really cool. I really like the art, like Oscar's had sent us.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because I'm super excited for machines and stuff like that. Was not digging the art for the ruler, I'll be honest. It was super average to me. I love the art for, is it Lancelot? The good resonator. Whatever that artist was. So I'm hoping it's something similar to that. Or they could like, I love stuff that's like gender bending and stuff like that. I think that would be cool too for Arthur. But the so that leaves 2 cards though that we don't know, and so those
Book of
they could go a couple routes with that, huh?
Round 2. He said Book of Light and Dark. I said round 2.
Volume 2.
We had way too many printed.
So one, I'll just point out, rip people who play casters apparently. Mm-hmm. So all of our theories and thoughts about that, I was like, are they going to do a hybrid? Is it going to be half and half? Is it going to be an option you choose? And they're like, no, it's actually just fuck you guys. Why'd you even think to buy our product and scan those cards? You're dumb. So that sucks if you're a casters player. I mean, even if those 2 cards end up being caster cards, the odds of you getting that in the mail, because it's randomized if you're not getting the full booklet. If you're getting the full booklet, you're getting a bunch of cards. If you play exclusively casters, which a lot of people do, you have 10 useless cards that you got to go out of your way to sell. And if not, if it's randomized, you have like, I don't even know the math of that. That'd be a 7 or 8% chance of actually getting. No, I'm sorry. That it might be a little bit higher than that. Point is, not a very high percent chance. It's that you'll actually get the card of the game you play and stuff. So that really, I think that's just poorly handled on the. If I'm being honest, that's just poorly handled on the company's part. I think Oscar had mentioned their QR codes. There was no reason that the QR code, when you scanned it from casters, didn't go to a separate section in the database. I'm kind of glad it didn't, just because we got to VIP. But
it's true.
But also, if we knew ahead of time that it was 2 separate things, I might have gotten more product or bought codes or something like that to properly get to where I needed to be. So I think at the end of the day, it didn't make too much difference. But it's a weird thing to do, and also not communicate that at all to any of the casters players as well. Like they're really.
I know, and I think you comment in the U.S. group saying that, hey, maybe the last 2 cards would be those, and people are like, no, shut up, get out of here, Colin. What are you talking about? No, it better not be. That'd be the stupidest thing in the world. Yeah, people kind of like thought it was a dumb. Like they were arguing against it. Like, calm down. It's like 2 cards for them. Give them something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, it would be completely pointless, like I said, if it's just the 2 cards, because then no one's happy. Because then you have Force Will players with 10 cards they like and 2 cards for a game they don't play, or casters players with 2 cards for a game they don't play and 10 cards that are, or 2 cards for a game they play and the rest that are useless for a game they don't play, or the randomization of these are going to be Force Will players who a tiny chance they'll get a card they don't need, or all those factors. Whereas if you had just done half and half, or done all Force of Will cards with caster art, or all caster or half and half and caster cards with Force of Will art, or a button that goes to different. There's so many solutions that go around that problem.
Button what?
Like a button, like you're VIP
like
or you're in the top there, and it's like, cool, you made it into rewards. What game do you play? Force Will or casters or both? And if you click both, you get half and half. If you pick casters, you get 2 cards of 5 cards. Or if you get Force Will, you get 2 cards of 5 cards or some combination.
But technically, real quick, it's not too late for that. That could still be an option, and we just haven't still seen the rewards for casters. They could still have that be a thing.
True.
I highly doubt that at this point.
I will say, what if those last 2 cards are the starter deck Gil and like Time Spinning Witch? Like they're like alt arts of like Gil, and then like Witch, like distribution or something weird.
No, they wouldn't put a Colossal in the ruler slot. It could be like maybe Gil and I'm trying to think.
Like, because I feel like Gil might be a good idea, but then I don't know what the very last one would be. Like,
Gil could be a cool idea, but yeah, no, that last slot I don't know because it'd be weird to have a Colossal ruler there. And I feel like really that she's going to be that one. But I guess they could throw her in there, and then the top 500 card could be something really cool and unique, like a non-ruler, like an actual normal card that's super played. That I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head. I can't think of something. Or like, yeah, you could do it right.
Because like something that's really played a lot, but it's not a ruler. Oh, Lorite.
Fair stuff. But one thing I mentioned, you mentioned getting a book, and we didn't get a book last year, so I doubt we'll get one this year.
Who mentioned that? Who mentioned
you did?
I did.
Yeah.
You said you said a booklet of a book with all the rulers in them.
Oh, I'm speaking like colloquially. I'm not. I don't think there's a physical book. No, I'm thinking like just in my head.
Oh, I'm sure.
I will always have that image of opening up and all the rulers are there type of thing. But that's I know we'll never get that again because that was really nice.
Just like cardboard boxes.
Something I was actually thinking about, which would be a really smart thing, and is if it's too late. Don't even try doing this. If you had bought in the Caster Chronicles when it first released and just kept selling your product off but keeping the codes, you would have profited like 100, if not more than 100, like a ton. I don't know percentage-wise. Because one, you're getting the codes and you're gonna profit off of that by submitting them for the willpower rewards. And then two, is that the boxes were going for $50, but a lot of the cards in there were going for way more. That if you sold all the cards off, you're like doubling your profit off of that single box.
Well, yeah. Hindsight, if I knew that the first set was literally going to be sold out and never printed again, but have some of the staples for Caster Chronicles, yeah, I would have bought so many boxes because those are some cards. There's a lot. It's not like there's a chance. You're guaranteed to pull the cards that are going to get your money's back on every box at minimum, and then there's cards that it's that was also poorly handled with casters, but it's Did
you get the latest box of casters and play and do your profiles and all that you had been doing?
No, I finished up the spoiler season,
done?
but I did not get the new booster box because our locals didn't get it in, and Happy Low Hug Factory stopped carrying it, so I didn't have any immediate place that I wanted to buy the box from, and so I'll try to get back into it at a later point, but I'm just going to take a breather and wait and see how the audience is and try and see if I can't figure something out, because I had put decks together and stuff from the previous set and never made videos, deck profiles, gameplay, anything for it, because there's no one to play with. So it's hard to keep that motivation going when no one plays with me, essentially. So it's just one of those things that I just got to get that motivation.
And like 10 people watch the video.
More than that. I think more people would watch actual gameplay and box openings more than the spoiler stuff. But, yeah. Right. But... Anything else? Anything else you want to say, Oscar? Jeez.
I just want to point one more. I just want to rub some more salt in that wound. Or when you did your box opening video for one of the later sets, and you got like 100 something views on it, and I was like, oh hey, look, Negative Legend did a video, and you went, what? And you looked at it, it was like at like 7,000 views already, and they only been up for a few hours.
It wasn't 5,000 or 7,000 views. That's he caps out at like 2K, I think, with Caster's videos. But yeah, no, it's like, huh, all right.
No, I'm not salty at all.
Yeah. Sorry, that's part of my roasting for Colin. I'll do more later.
You be careful. Be careful who you roast, lest you get roasted, Oscar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will see. I got some stuff in the back pocket.
It's gonna be a thing. This is exciting.
It is. It'll be an amazing podcast when we get.
I'm gonna need to like make a script. A script of all.
Oh yeah, go brush up on Comedy Central Roast to see how that's structured, Joey, and yeah, you can go off of that.
What else do we have from the Q&A?
We'll do one more thing real quick, and then we'll switch over to the Patreon podcast. But
the reason why you got to become patrons, special podcast.
Yeah, so you can continue this hellish podcast.
We've only ever had one really bad one where we had to talk about Avengers cards.
First off, no, that was a great one. Like I told Oscar, Oscar was super weird about it, and he's like, huh. And this was Oscar the whole time. And then it finished. He's like, man, yeah, that didn't turn out real great, did it? It's like, well, yeah, because you just sat there and didn't talk or do anything. It's like, yeah, if I'm talking to myself for 20 minutes, it doesn't turn out good. You get out of here.
Podcast is still
it's like if Oscar went up to someone and stabbed him, and they fell down and died. He's like, wow, they didn't live for very long. That's weird. It's like, well, yeah, you stabbed them. Of course they didn't live for very long. It's like, nah.
My favorite thing was a follow-up podcast because that week we didn't have Joey. It was just you and me.
Yeah.
And the following week it was just me and Joey because we didn't have you, and we're just taking shots at that podcast.
Yeah, I remember that. I really liked our whole like spoiler set. There's a moment where like you two are just like going at it on like the whole Master Rune, and it's like this 15-second portion of just like Oscar and Colin both talking at the same time, and they're both like getting louder and louder. They're just talking over each other, and then they both just like stop, and it's like nobody probably listened to anything the other person had just said there. But I was kind of like, ooh, it's getting heated over there. Like, oh man.
I think last week's Patreon podcast had the same thing. All three of us got heated over something. So we're just going back and forth. I remember laughing, being like, wow, it took like 10 minutes for this podcast to finally get there.
Yeah.
There you go, guys.
I remember.
But
yep.
So I just wanted to real quick, just as a fun little last thing to mention, because Jeff had mentioned that him and EG spoke with a third party about a property about for something in the future. And one thing that I'd speculate is, what if they're talking about product, like things. They seem to really push the figures at Gen Con that were super popular, and energized tokens and stuff like that. And one thing people have been just asking for this entire time, and Force of Will, I think, lends itself to this more than almost any other card game outside of, ones based on intellectual properties like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, or Dragon Ball Super, is people who have favorite characters and recurring characters, and that they want to.
Sorry, that was a good one.
Well, I realized that as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, it's not Dragon Ball Z, it's that other one. And I was like, this is just stupid, like the amount of Dragon Balls. Yeah. Like, there should be 2 balls and that's it. But the, I like Sylvia, I want to buy Sylvia. I like Gil, I want to buy Gil. So, like, I feel like Force of Will really lends itself to that. Like, people who play Magic, it's like, who do you like? Oh, that girl with the fire that I keep seeing pictures of or something like that. I don't know. But,
Chandra.
Yeah.
Shut up, Joey. But so
I think that sorry, just remember that's been like since day one of Q&As, like the number one question. Like, are we gonna get figures? Are we gonna have figurines? Like, can we get something?
I want that red sweater. I want that red sweater that has the Force Woo logo. Like that was cool.
I remember that was a thing for a bit too. Like I remember when Jordan was doing Q&As. I think there was a Q&A where he said, "Yeah, we just got a bunch of like sweaters in. I think we're gonna test them out, and then I think soon you guys could buy them online or something like that." Never happened.
Or everyone, including myself and Oscar, carry bags around that have our cards and stuff in it. Imagine if we could carry around a Force of Will bag that isn't the the shitty free one that I have 36 of. God damn it! But
I remember when I thought it was
cool,
supposed to be so hard to get, and it would go locals, and he'd be like, "Here you go, top 3 or whatever. You get to pick an extra play mat, an extra bag. I got like 20 more bags in the bag."
Yeah.
Hey, my bag is special. Okay.
But like an actual cloth, like a laptop bag is what I use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like there's so many avenues you could do. You could buy, even if they don't want to include tokens in the set, sell tokens for cats and bunnies and stuff. Say here's a pack of 5 of every single token, $5 or $10. I don't care. I'll buy it. Like they did with the Magic Stone Lab. Do the Magic Stone Lab again, first off, but better quality. And do that with tokens, I'll buy it. Like any type of product, I don't care. But so my point though is, or not my point, my question to you guys is, what is one thing you would want if they actually did go their route and make product? What would be one thing you would want them to sell?
So real quick, so then when they said they were talking with another third party, I instantly thought for some reason like another IP for like a Vingolf. I think maybe a lot of people thought that, but it does make more sense for it to be like, say, what'd you say, like energized coins, dice, figurines, whatnot.
Yeah.
As that's something that they mentioned not that long ago, like 3 or 4 months ago, like, hey, you guys are interested in this, and he held up those dice bags and all that.
Yeah.
I think like dice and dice bags are cool, but we've already done it, but. And I know there'd be people who want it again who weren't here for that because there's a lot of people who didn't get the dice. But I think I'd be more into like the figurines and like that small chibi style, not like the larger kind of realistic ones necessarily. Or even just posters and like wall scrolls, and not like the wall scrolls we have now. Yeah, not like the ones we have now where it's hard to get.
Like Joey's Ruby one in the back there.
Right. So then where I can, because Ultra Pro did some prints for a little bit. It'd be cool if it's actually Ultra Pro they're talking to again. But anyway, they did is it Dark Arla, Dark Alice, and Prisha. And they had wall scrolls you can get, and they're like $25. It wasn't even that bad. But I would like to see some like actual rulers and artwork I'd want to get, you know what I'm saying? Like that, posters, something like that. I would actually like something to hang on the wall. Or figurines to put on a shelf. Like Melissa has this right here.
I got that for her.
I have Vegeta. I know you guys can't see
it. That
it.
looks so neat.
The audience can see it.
I got a pop figure that I don't actually collect pop figures, but I have it. My cool thing is I have out in the living room. I have Adam from Legends of Tomorrow.
Since we're showing off
but stuff like that, something to put up or hang around that would be cool, you know.
I swear I don't collect pops. I'm gifted pops.
Oh yeah,
I also
you got some over here too in this room, Colin.
A plushie Latios.
I got a Moo.
I was there when you bought that Houston Regionals. You got that Latios.
It's adorable. It's got a little thing.
What did you?
That's what I would look for.
So you would want wall scrolls? You said, Oscar, or
just decorative items essentially, like wall scrolls, little figures to put up somewhere.
Joey,
a plushie.
Yeah, I think. After thinking about it, I think wall scrolls would be like. I'm not a big figurine guy. Like I don't have like a shelf for those. Maybe I might get one eventually because I think that's kind of.
Joey, does you have a Final Fantasy VII wall scroll that you've had for like 30 years, right?
Yeah, like
you can't even see the picture anymore.
What?
So you can't even see the picture on there anymore.
Well, no, it's not. It's not because it's that old. It's just when I bought it, it was that shit. It wasn't a very good wall scroll that I bought.
I have it's not, I guess it wouldn't be a wall scroll, but it's the same material. It's just not on a scroll. It's not rolled up in a scroll, but I have that big one of Kamina that's super badass.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I haven't hung it back up. I need to hang that up.
But yeah,
but like I can also see how like clothing would be an interesting thing. Like when you think about like watching video recaps or even live video from events for like Pokemon, like that's one of the things you see. You see hats, you see shirts, you see people like showing off a new shirt they just got at a new event. Like they go to Worlds and then they have Worlds shirts and stuff like that. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Cool too.
I think Forceful would lend itself pretty decently to that kind of marketing. Like I know Magic, Like, I don't think they have a lot of shirts or hats, and I don't think I've ever seen a lot of like shirts or hats.
Like, I would love to have, contrary to Oscar, like actual full size figurines, like my Adam figure that's 1-to-1, or
detailed.
that's like detailed and it's actually painted. I don't want to paint it, but and it looks like the card art and stuff like that. As far as like, it's not chibi, it's cool looking and stuff. I would love that type of stuff. I would be, because I see that all the time for stuff, and I've thought about. That's one thing I've always wanted to get into collecting, is that type of stuff, especially for superheroes and stuff like that. But I would love to do that for Force of Will. Just it'd probably be I'd be fine with dropping $80 or whatever on it if it's a really nice figurine and stuff, and get a cool Sylvia one and a Sylvia dragon. Like, collect the dragons, a Sylvia dragon, a Millium dragon, and stuff like that. That type of thing would that hook me in good. But besides that, I'm also a sucker for like knick-knack type of items, like little dice or pins or any type of little stuff like that. I love. But yeah,
nice little things. But Nate, that'd be a great.
It's because I don't see them in my everyday life, so that didn't go the way you wanted it, Oscar.
Anyways, guys, let us know in the comments below what you would like to see. Maybe this could be a data collection for Jeff, if you're still listening.
Also, data collection for people who are still listening. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. But to let us know what you guys would want and what you agree with, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
One Patreon.